ni bonito hay. A veces duele tu ausencia, pero cuando tú me abrazas me llenas de tu presencia. Te hablo como un amante que a veces viene y se esconde. Te busco entre los bolsillos como el sol entre los montes.
This podcast is brought to you by Emotional Damage. Get it now on Amazon.com. Emotional Damage by Josias and Jr. It's a great book if you're looking to explore the depths of your emotions. With that being said, let us get started. This is a brainstorming session, and what we have here is we have clouds. Let me fix this up real quick. We have clouds and then an ecosystem where we have a farm, a garden, and a house. The farm represents thought, the garden represents emotions, and then the house represents where we process everything. We bring everything in. Here's the second part. You know about connecting dots. You know, you put dots on a board and you connect dots. That's how you start like a brainstorming session. We're just connecting dots. So we'll connect dots. We'll draw lines, metaphorical lines on the dots. We'll form shapes by doing that. We'll color it in, and then we'll give it motion, creating a motion picture. The goal of this brainstorming session is to generate a beautiful idea at the end of the session. And this is how we get started. So we're gonna pretend that we are members of a team, an idea generating team. For example, let's say if we were doing metal work or like clay, if the idea was a piece of clay, we would need a molder, a shaper, a polisher, and a tester. If the idea was a piece of metal, we need a forger, a refiner, and a temperer. If the idea was a piece of food, we would need a chef, a sous chef, a taster, and a plating specialist. I'm not gonna assign roles here. The topic for today is going to be going from the superficial to the deep and then back. That's the topic for today. And I have the 3 levels to start that I'm gonna present to you, and then you guys can take it over from here. Level 1, superficial, small talk, banter, hi, how are you? Middle level is going to be emotions and deeper thoughts, sensations, just anything deeper than just superficial stuff. And the third layer, probably we'll go to Meenakshi or Måns for, is the seat of consciousness, the seat of the soul, which is like probably the deepest layer we can go. If you know of a deeper layer, then we can go there. With that being said, what does that bring to you? I want you to start thinking, and then if something sparks in your brain, then interrupt me right now. I want to know where to start this. Let's start. We got the 3 levels. We got superficial, middle, and the seat of the soul. Where would you like to start? We can start anywhere you want. Eleanor.
The fact that
so first, when you introduced the first level, the superficial one, into hi, how are you? I felt to myself that when you actually really ask someone how are you, it can go deep, because if you are really listening to the person, then you can go. You may think it's a superficial question, but for some people, it can go. It can be really deep for them. So that was my thought.
Beautiful. I think Darren?
Yes, the first thought that came to mind when you spoke there and described that was in Northern Ireland we have a bit of a culture of very quickly going to small talk and not going into the sort of deeper levels of the conversation. If you ask someone how are they, you'll always get the word fine, you know, and some people just won't go to that level. And it was pointed out to me by a tourist, a German tourist, who explained that to me and said that we're very good over here at small talk and you know, chat, but when it comes to sort of going from maybe the superficial or the small talk to the deeper levels of them conversations, to uncover emotion and whatever, that takes a bit of practice. That takes, you know, someone who's maybe a skilled person to draw that out of us. And that's just something. The other thing that came to mind when you said there was, and it was really like an analogy to me of life, really. It's a process, you know, it's a journey, it's an adventure. There's so much to it, you know, as opposed to just going from A to B, you know. It was just a process is what sort of sprung to mind there when you said that.
Beautiful.
Shut up now.
Let's go to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, we're gonna have a lot of fun with your name. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, that's all right. I understand it's a difficult name. It's
actually Sanskrit, so don't worry about it. So yeah, actually superficial is superficial for a reason. If I am going through a lot of emotional state, I don't want to put them on surface because emotions are really complicated. It's very difficult for people to understand, especially the people who aren't emotionally aware, people who have very less understanding of emotions, who are low on empathy. And if I'm dealing with difficult emotion and I open up to a wrong person, it can even worsen my state. So it's very easy to initiate a small talk, a surface level conversation, just to give other person that idea that it's fine, I'm talking. I'm not going into a total silent mode, because if you shut down, if you don't connect with people, definitely people will think that something is wrong with you. And they will come and ask what's wrong. And it's difficult to be vulnerable with someone who do not understand our emotion and to connect on a deeper level. It actually unfolds a lot of patterns that we have made in our lives so far through different kind of events that have happened. So even when we are ready to connect on a deeper level and the other person is not, it cannot be a one-way street. It cannot be a one-way conversation that if I bombard person with a deeper level of conversation and they are not interested, actually it's going to be a surface level talk eventually.
Something you said there. People will think something is wrong, and I think this is a great level to go to the next part. Why would somebody think that something is wrong? And the image that I got from what you said was, if we were a machine and then one of us was not interacting, it would be as if there was a malfunction in the machine. That's kind of what I got, but why would there be that kind of reaction?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're getting this absolutely right. For example, there is a water purifier. Till the time it's giving water, nobody cares if the quality is okay, if I need to get it checked. The moment it stops working, then we will pay attention. Okay, let me get it checked. Let me get the expert to get it working on. So it's easier to do a small talk and let the person know that everything is fine, I'm okay, than to show up your emotions at once. Because at times when you're emotionally exhausted, just one question can make you feel like you're breaking down. You want to talk, you have that desire to feel connected, real intimacy where you want to actually express yourself. Because exhaustion comes from a very long time of holding your emotion, not getting that validation of your actually deeper level of emotions, the thoughts that you always wanted to express.
Okay, let's go to Måns.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, when I get into like a social situation or like a new person, I guess like I often like ask question or try to understand their world, but also like, ordinary questions like, what is their like favorite book, what kind of music do they like, or like something about them. And then, from there you can also like understand to what extent how deep you can go and try to read. I guess that is like social intelligence, but also I guess like some thoughts can be like too high for some people, or like some things are too deep, so then you can get back into like more surface talk. But yeah, I guess like in natural state, I think like personally I have harder to do like too much surface talk. I guess I've become better at it, but when you talk with a lot of ordinary people, like they think like in that way. But I think sometimes we can go deeper than we think. People can hide aspect or they don't show them, but then of course they maybe need to feel comfortable with you or something. But yeah, I definitely like to go like to think in deeper ways. That's more stimulating.
Yes,
I guess.
Let's go to Martin.
Oh boy, I'm gonna try to do my best to answer this. I do struggle small talk. Most of the time I don't know how to start a conversation, so most of the time I'm not talking to others until they come up to me. And as an autistic individual, sometimes conversations can be a little difficult for us. And so this would make sense to me. Most of the time when somebody starts a conversation with me, I can talk nonstop, and I can even go at a deeper level. And most of the time when I talk, I end up giving inspirational messages to people without even realizing it. And I'm better off giving speeches than I am communication. And sometimes it is difficult. And
when I try starting conversations, for some reason words can't come out. Some people get upset at me because of it, but because, you know, autism is really not understood, it gets a little tricky. But yeah, it's easier for me to talk when somebody reaches out to me first and like saying, hey, how's it going? And then we start getting into a more like deeper conversation. And some people have actually appreciated some of the inspirational messages that I give them. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of like how my brain works.
That makes perfect sense. You kind of remind me of like a Ben Shapiro type character, you know. He's definitely autistic, you know, because he goes into these rants and then like goes off and then he doesn't stop. Like it's just like, you know. So that's definitely, I think autism, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like focus on steroids. Like you just focus on something.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. I actually have some of those inspirational messages here with me, so maybe near the end, if you want me to share some, I can definitely do that.
Absolutely. Okay, so what do we have now? So we have small talk, and then so let's add another layer to it. Let's add some intention to it. What is the person in the surface level concerned with? How they look, how they come across. What is the person in the middle concerned of? How they feel, how others might feel. They're in like in a headspace where they might be thinking like into the future or just concerned about something in a mental space. And then the person at the deepest level, they're observing. And then this is the part where it gets me excited, because somebody once said that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you're the observer. You're watching all of this unfold. And I think if you can get to that space through meditation or through yoga or through, you know, any type of like practice that will allow you to do that, it gives you a superpower of being able to reflect from a place that frankly most people don't get to. They don't get there because a lot of people live in the surface. A lot of people just live in their emotions and their thoughts. But I think very little people know that there is like a different space where they can reflect and they can access this space pretty regularly if they just, you know, do like simple exercises. So what do you think, Darren?
Yes, as you were talking there, I was just sort of thinking through some of the scenarios in my life, maybe, if you want. When I was a youth worker, when I worked with, you know, hard to reach young people, it was really important for me to, you know, engage them in conversation as an informal educator. And I suppose I don't think I'm an expert at it, but I've honed a couple of really good skills around that. And I used to refer to it, and I heard it in a podcast recently, like, you know, people will give you windows to go a wee bit deeper, or doors, you know, they open a window or they open a door, and you need to be in the conversation, in the present moment, to sort of hear what they're sort of saying and looking behind their words as well. So for me, that's a really important skill that I honed based on my sort of on a previous, you know, occupation, if you want. Today, I've done a bit of training with what I refer to, I'm not sure if the rest of you will know this role. It's called detached youth work, where you go out to where young people choose to be, on the street or beside sort of areas where they want to be. You know, it's called unmediated spaces. And I would train guys, girls as well, to go out and engage young people in them areas, in conversation, and trying to get it to a sort of deeper level, build relationships, foster some learning. You know, all that sort of stuff is all so key to what I do. Now, bringing it sort of into today in terms of the coaching space that I'm in, I would find that for me it's more about listening. But I reflect well on what people have said in initial conversations and would go with specific questions, much maybe like a podcaster would, Joe, you know. And I find that if I go with a couple of questions that I can enter into the conversation at particular times, it encourages, you know, the small talk, the superficial talk to go a slight bit deeper. And I'm not a therapist, I have to say that out loud, but it does allow me to, you know, open doors, open conversations to learn a wee bit more about them and guide them on their journey, you know. And I know there's a meditator on here. Meditation's a very powerful thing. I personally love visualization. I think visualization, and I've seen me at times, you know, using visualization for my sessions and how I would like some of my sessions to go, you know. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to talk too long. I don't want to hog. I could talk about this stuff all day because I love it, like, but I don't want to talk too long. But no, I do appreciate even the opportunity to talk out loud about this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, in my opinion, you do supply some sort of therapy because, you know, you got substance recovery on the background there. So, I mean, if that's not therapy, I don't know what is. I also wanted to add a different layer to this before we go to Eleanor, and that is the layer of not only do we have now communication with ourselves, but let's add a layer of like the different types of communication that we can do here. So we got the 3 levels of depth, and then now like we can communicate with others, and then maybe like the layer of connection and communication that we can have. If we're in a superficial level and another person is on a deeper level or in a medium level, you know, how does that affect your ability to communicate with that person? You know, I think I'd like to start adding that into the conversation. Eleanor, you're one of the most creative people here. That's why I threw it over to you, because it's like
So for me, it's maybe because I lived in different country, in different culture, I really learned to be adaptable. So I meet people where they are. Like, at least that's the place I am right now. Before I wanted people to meet me where I am. So I was in, just like Martin, it was always like a deep conversation. I didn't know how to do surface level conversation or small talk. But I learned, and now it's like, it depends. I don't judge. I will just meet you where you are. Yeah. I think that's where I am right now, and it's a really great place to be.
So you're willing to.
Can I ask you a question, Eleanor? Yeah. How do you know where they are? When you meet them, how do you know where they are?
So because I usually never speak first. I always like to observe, because I know I'm usually socially awkward, and so I like to observe first and to see what I can bring, and you know, what they expect from me and what I can share with them. So that's how I know where they are.
Okay, and so are you always willing to go where they are, or, you know, what about when, like, if you're in a bad mood, or like if you're just like in a space where like you may not have the best energy for that?
So I meditate a lot. Like every hours, every 2 hours, I connect my heart to, like, my head, my heart, and I align everything. So therefore I'm always grounded to the earth and connected to the sky, to like whatever. And so it's very, very rare that I'm in a place where I'm like I'm pissed or like whatever, because I don't like to be in that space, or I'm going to use that energy to create, to either write a book or write a poem or whatever, but I'm going to use that energy to create, and therefore I'm going to shift that energy in something empowering.
Beautiful. What about you, Martin? Do you have a process, like whenever you have to interact with people? Like, do you have like a step-by-step thing that you do, or you just kind of like fall into the conversation and kind of see what happens? You're muted.
I can't believe, you know what, it's 8 a.m. here, so I'm still trying to wake up here. Yeah.
Where you at again?
It depends. I mean, with some I'm able to connect easier than others. My biggest struggle is I have a nonverbal learning disorder, so I can't tell if people are upset or can't understand how they feel unless they tell me, or even if people joke. But while I lack in that, I'm able to kind of tell how they're feeling with subtle movements. So like if they have like a little eye twitch or if they kind of like clench their fist, then I kind of notice like, hey, maybe they don't want to talk about what's going on. And I always go with the flow. And if they want to talk, then great. If not, then I kind of give them space until they're ready, because I always make sure to not push things.
Okay, now I want to hear what Meenakshi has to say on this.
Thank you for nominating me to talk about this. So I've been hearing people talking about it. What I feel the deeper level of connect happens is if I talk about in terms of chakra, when your throat chakra and your heart chakra is balanced. If your heart chakra is in balance, then definitely your throat chakra can never be balanced. So what role it plays in your communication is that you talk with clarity, with purpose, and with that calmness inside you. And also your heart chakra is actually connects you with pure intention and unconditional love. And unconditional love is not what we see. Actually, what we have heard the definition is that it's just your presence that you can offer a person. So if both these chakras are not balanced, like I was listening to Eleanor talking, she is like, I don't talk first, I let people speak first. So in order to connect with a deeper level of on a communication deeper level, you have to listen deeply. And listening doesn't actually involve listening to words. It's the emotion lying underneath the word. Happy can mean happy. I'm happy. But what if I mean I'm really happy? I have to read between the lines. I have to really understand a person's emotion and match their vibrations, what emotion they are. Because at the end of the day, all our emotions are actually frequency. All our chakras that we have, they vibrate at certain frequency, and you cannot connect with people who are not on same frequency. It's like a tuning fork. It will resonate if both of them are on same frequency. Which is why if there's a sad person and a very happy person, both of them can connect on some emotion, but not on this emotion, being happy and sad. Probably they can connect on excitement, they can connect on any other emotion, but because they are opposite, their frequencies won't match. So yes, this is actually a great exercise to connect on a deeper level, to listen first. Unless you listen to a person, you won't be able to talk.
I love that. Wow. And okay, let's go to Måns now. And then Måns, I want you to see if you can speak on, there's two things. Number one is the alignment of the chakras, or whatever you call this alignment. And then the second thing that Meenakshi mentioned was reading in between the lines, which I think I want to get into this next. Reading in between the lines, like. And then before you go there, there's a guy I listen to on YouTube. His name is Andrew Bustamante. He's an ex-CIA spy, and then he talks about preparing the first 5 lines in a conversation so that you're not thinking about what to say when you greet somebody. Kind of like having your first 5 moves in chess ready. So then you can just focus on what Meenakshi said, reading in between the lines. Let's go, Måns. What you got?
In general, when I listen, I've talked to a lot of new people the last months, and then I often have to read, how they are functioning. And I think, reading between the lines, the first thing I thought was when people talk, they often talk in, programs or how they see the world, or, you can see it from also, the mental, because in general, I am more, mental in nature. I do feel a lot, and I can feel in. But I think my stronger side is to feel into the picture, how they see the world. If someone says something, it is it's an energy behind what they say, or a point of view they have. And it can be how their mind is structured. That is also how their reality is structured. So when you can see that, you can read deeper layers of them, and then you can communicate and answer to them. And of course, like when you start to talk with someone, it can take some time to like adapt and, shape the frequency or know how to talk to them in the best way, because you should always be yourself, but sometimes you have to meet them in like certain frequencies and be yourself in that frequency. When it comes to like chakra imbalance, I know like from personal experience this is very important, because like I have done a lot of meditation and go very high with my consciousness, and when you start to like lose the ground or like also like the connection to the heart, that can like create effects. So I think like in order to keep yourself stable on all levels, everybody I think will have different ways of being stable. Some can be natural in different kind of elements, but I think it's very important in order to keep yourself grounded, to keep your mind and emotions aligned, so it doesn't create like internally, or like you feel off in one aspect. And this can go like if you go like too low and neglect the higher, or like if you go too high and neglect the lower aspects of the frequency system. Like I think we are like a holistic blueprint, and of course it's challenging sometimes in life. We have to do improve certain aspects of our life in order to keep ourselves balanced, and I think this is some of the self-development process, to master yourself and change yourself in different situations, and to learn, get feedbacks from reality and learn. So I don't know if this was the topic actually.
Yeah, you're good. That's exactly what we're talking about. You're good. Yes, it's okay to go on rants, because that's why this is a brainstorming session. All we're doing is we're putting out the ideas. This is the first part, and this is the direction of this. Where's my other paper? Okay, so here's the direction, and then I'll get into the direction in a second. But first, let's take a joke break. So you ever try to stay in alignment, but your spine, your schedule, and your spirit all have different Google calendars?
Wait, are you talking to me? Or?
Yeah, no, it's a joke break. It's a joke break.
Okay.
So
I didn't get that. Yeah.
You didn't get it? Okay. And then basically, like, whenever you try to stay in alignment, there's sometimes that your spine, your schedule, and your spirit all have different Google calendars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one's doing yoga, the other one's doing taxes, and your soul's like, I thought we were becoming a DJ.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Yeah.
This can happen.
So does anybody else have like a quick joke you want to share before we go into the next segment? Like a joke and come on, Meenakshi, don't you have a joke on a yoga joke or something like? No jokes, Eleanor?
I can try, but actually I'm not funny. Yeah, me either. Like I love laughing, but I have no joke. Sorry.
Okay.
So this is a very popular joke that I tell in my yoga class sometimes, that why don't yogis get locked out of their own houses? It's because they can always find a key within.
Nice. What about you, Martin? Do you have a joke, Martin? No? Darren?
I don't know if this is a joke, I don't know if it's funny, but what I will say is that I would say to some clients about my specific coaching that the only thing in recovery that is instant is the coffee.
The only thing in recovery is the coffee. That's true. Okay, so I have here, let me do one more here. ChatGPT is so crafty. I just have to just tell it to do whatever I want it to do. So here's another alignment. So everybody's talking about alignment these days. But my body is aligned with snacks, my mind is aligned with overthinking, and my bank account is aligned with 2012. At this point, I don't need a mindset coach. I need a tow truck for my chakras.
Did ChatGPT give you this joke?
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah, I can think of one right now after you said about chakra. So why would throat chakra break up with the root chakra? Is because throat chakra thought the root chakra isn't grounded enough for deeper conversations.
Okay, and we have one more person here joining, but with no camera. Samsung. Who's the Samsung SMF731U1? You want to say hi? If you don't, it's cool. You can just listen in. Okay, moving on. All right, so direction. What's the direction here? The direction is first. Let's do another round of locations. We have Northern Ireland. We have Stockholm. We have. Are you in India, Meenakshi? She's India. Where Martin?
California.
Cali. That's right. 8 a.m. over there. And then Eleanor, where you at again?
Toronto, Canada.
So we got Toronto. We got one. Oh, okay. We're all over the map here. Ooh, the farthest one obviously is Meenakshi. That's the farthest one from here. This is beautiful. Like, what a blessing. Man, let's go to the direction here. Here's the direction. So the first thing we did is free association, throwing words out there and then like seeing what aligns with what, and we could do more of that. The second part is clustering or mind mapping. So we could start here let me see, I can share here screens. I can do this later. If anybody knows how to share like one of those whiteboards, you can do that. No rush for that right now, but we can do that eventually. So clustering or mind mapping. So we'll start putting together these things with each other and then conceptualizing and by combining different things. Like we have alignment and the reading in between the lines. We clump those two things together. What's another thing that we can put together here from what we talked about so far?
Sorry, Joe, would you mind repeating what are the two things that you said?
Yeah. It was actually you put that together. It was the alignment. Well, it was between you and Eleanor, between alignment of the chakras and then reading in between the lines.
Yeah, I would like to suggest two things as well, which Måns talked about. He said that people come from different experiences. So what I say might mean something else for somebody depending upon their geographic locations, the circumstances they have been through, or the environment that have shaped their experiences. So through which people might have their internal dialogue as well. That's what Måns mentioned, that in our brain we are thinking of something when we are talking, and that can affect a conversation a lot. I might be talking to someone, but inside my head I have another dialogue going on.
Okay.
That can either be a hindrance to a deeper level connect, or it can actually boost the deeper level connect. Because at the same time, the basic communication, how it happens when I'm receiving feedback from the person. Is that what you mean? And if that feedback is internal, I wouldn't validate that from the other person. However, if I externally take that feedback, then I can easily go into a deeper conversation, because the person will be either correcting me or will agree with me. That's how I will know that I'm on the right track on getting deeper into this conversation.
Okay, yeah, so for this next part, let's use the chat box. I wrote a few of the things. Look at the chat box. I wrote a few of the things that we spoke about. And then if you have any suggestions here, let's write it down while we're in conversation. That way we can start forming and shaping something from the actual concepts that we do, because I think we can get to a really powerful point here. So for you writers out there, let me see let me see some combinations here. But I love that. What I say might mean something else to the other person. Which brings me to a good topic here, which would be, what do you think about subtleties and what is the other word?
I actually need to go any minute now, so you guys know.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Just let us know when you gotta leave. But the next topic is subtleties and implications. So sometimes you can be really direct with somebody, and sometimes you can imply something and be subtle, and sometimes there is a time and a place for each one, and then sometimes we use it correctly and sometimes we don't. And that's how I think when we get arguments and miscommunications with people, and I'm nowhere near a master at this, and that's why we're studying it. So thoughts, subtleties and implication. Let's start with Darren, and then we'll go to Måns because he's got to go in a little bit, and then we'll keep the conversation going.
Already on. Okay. So subtleties, and what was the other one?
Implications, like implied, like let's say like your wife might say, "Oh, these bags are heavy," and then she really wants she wants you to say, oh, would you like any help with that? But you might be thinking, why don't you just tell me what the hell you want? You know, be direct. So that's what I mean.
Yeah, just be upfront about that. Yeah, I think there's definitely a caution around that where you have to be, you know, if you're going to be direct with someone, you know, sometimes you have to be cautious. So sometimes it's better delivered in a more gentle way, particularly if you're going into the conversation side of things. Somebody did say there about the, you know, reading between the lines, and as a coach, I suppose I'm, you know, I've trained my ear to try and read between the lines. What are they saying? What are they trying to say? You know, and it's nearly my job to, you know, extract that information from them, particularly if they're in recovery from addiction. It's around, you know, looking for that change talk, that motivational interview, you know, opening up them doors to, you know, allowing them to see, even because I think you learn who you are as you hear yourself speak. So it's really important for that. Somebody else mentioned there something around that, and I think it was an internal dialogue. You know, before every coaching session would take some time to, you know, slow down, check in with me before I move forward into a coaching session. And the reason for that is that, you know, if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, then that can derail the actual conversation for the client. In my personal life, you know, when I'm with a few buddies, maybe, you know, it's just about who's trying to get in, who's trying to say the most, you know, or whatever, which can be quite funny if you just sort of sit back and watch that happening, you know. But yeah, subtleties. I think for me, and just to go a wee bit deeper on this, I think for me, if you're a sensitive person, and I would consider myself a sensitive person, you know, I can be very attuned to, you know, negative subtleties when someone would say something, and I would nearly take that on board, thinking that they maybe mean more than what they actually mean, and that can then turn into a miscommunication. So for me, what I have to do, what I've taught myself to do, and the learning for anybody maybe listening or watching, or for anybody on here, for me, it's about that gentle curiosity. You know, so could I just check that out with you? What did you mean when you said, you know, what I'm hearing you tell me is, you know, using sort of sentences like that allow me to truly understand, you know, what is actually being said, so that I'm not taking that as a miscommunication or a negative, which could bring me into conflict with someone, you know, pretty quickly, which I, you know, don't want to avoid it as such, because sometimes conflict is good, but it's important for me to really look for them subtleties and check people out as to what they're actually saying to me, and understand, so that I can then regurgitate them back to them. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Let's go to Måns.
Yes, so miscommunications and subtleties.
Yes, implications and subtleties.
And subtleties. I do think many people like say something and they really mean something else. Subtleties. Okay, yeah. Where should I take it? I didn't follow.
Darren said, remain curious and check out what people are actually saying. So maybe curiosity.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, it's good to, like, ask questions in order to really understand someone, because, like, many of the miscommunications between the people and conflicts in general is because we don't understand, or we projection on how we interpret what they say, like, regardless of, because everything people say, we will take it into our own experience, how we see what they say. For example, if someone is very motivated and has a lot of energy, some person can see that as like stressful, someone can be charged up. And, you know, so it's like the subjective world varies from every individual. And I think, like, in order to understand people, we need to ask questions, understand how they work, their mind, how they think, in order to avoid it. Because, like, misunderstandings is, probably many conflicts between people are just often based on, like, blind spots, so they couldn't really interpret it the right way. Or, like, even when I speak, sometimes I can hear, like, people incorporate what I say, like, in a way that I didn't really mean it, because they have their own projection on anything. It can be a relationship, it can be money, it can be whatever. So, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I think what I got from that is, if you're confused, welcome the disconnects. like if you're not like aligned with the other person. But if you're completely clear about where you want to go, then there's no need to welcome the disconnects or the, you know, like there's no need to like align with people who are not aligned with what you're doing, because you're clear about where you want to go. But if you're not clear about where you want to go, if you don't have clarity, then it's good to kind of explore different paths, and that's how you can find the path that you're gonna want to take eventually. I think that's what I got from that, what you said.
Okay, but it was very nice to talk to you guys. I actually need to go now, but yeah, it was very nice to motivating to connect here, and I hope you all have great all over the world.
Beautiful, man. I'll see you in Sweden.
Yeah,
Thank
bye
you,
bye.
Måns, for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, bye bye all of you.
All right, let's go to Martin.
I'm gonna be honest. This is one of the spots that I struggle with the most, and so I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts I can give. But maybe if I hear from one more person, maybe it could kind of help me come up with something.
Why don't you tell us what you struggle with, and then maybe, for example, maybe Meenakshi can chime in and say, okay, well, this is what I see here.
I think my biggest struggle with everything would be like, you know, I'm looking at what you typed up here, and it's like not understanding what people mean, and it's like thinking about, like, I would say one of my biggest struggles too is like providing feedback, and I sometimes can't take feedback that great as well, because it kind of like, if I hear some constructive criticism, sometimes it kind of brings me down a little bit. So it's like, it's hard to explain.
I completely get you, man. I completely understand. Like,
yeah,
I'm terrible at getting advice or constructive criticism. I don't want to hear that. You know, it's not. Yeah, you're not unique in that aspect. It's like I think it's resistance. We're resisting change in a way. But let's go to Meenakshi. What do you think?
Counter opposite to Martin, actually. So I can actually understand his struggle, that not being able to understand people. Definitely it can happen. But I am a person who was misunderstood. I'm trying to say something else, but people are getting something else. So what I feel, how subtleties work, that's completely my perception. People might have different perception towards it. Is about our preconceived notions or the schemas that we have built. Sometimes what I say may sound to me that I'm being subtle enough. I'm not being too direct. People who come from different values, they might feel that I'm being too harsh. That telling someone that you're not looking pretty in that dress, some people might say, hey, you don't look good, why don't you go and change? It's subtle enough. I didn't say that you're looking really ugly, I did not like your clothes, but at times the person who's wearing that dress might come to, oh, you could have been a little more subtle with that. So it comes down to value. How do you actually like being treated? And you have that notions probably how you are raised from childhood. Some parents do not actually like to scold their kids, no matter how wrong they are. Some parents are really harsh in judgment, and some are extremely strict. So that's how you build your communication skills. That I have heard this in my childhood. Probably it's okay, because it has been happening for so long. If this would have been wrong, somebody would have corrected my parents already, or they would have corrected themselves already. So it can come down to, subtleties can come down to exposure as well. If I've gone to many places, like I'll give an example. I belong to like an Indian culture, and Indian culture is really mixed. If you go to different states, some people are really rude, and that's their language, how it is. And then people don't mind. People use profanity on daily basis, and it's like a slang. It's really normal. Nobody will point out for your bad behavior. But I've worked really closely with people from UK and UK culture, and I see they are really polite. They are really subtle with everything that they say. Even if they don't like you, if they are not liking the conversation, they are not going to say, you know what, not something very rude, but they would politely say that, would you mind if I ask you to, let somebody else entertain me because I'm not able to understand you? That's how they talk. And that's how I have observed that, sometimes Indian conversation can be rude to other people from other countries or nations. And that's how I have evolved from being not too subtle, being too direct, to slowly being subtle. So it's all about the cultural exposure as well, and about not being able to understand people. It's actually something that you might have interacted with very less. The more you interact, the more you try to understand different emotions, and people have to be open as well for the conversation. Sometimes people don't actually want to tell you what they mean. They're actually hiding a lot of things under that one statement. They just want to reply because you asked them a question. They actually don't want you to understand what they actually mean. So that kind of hindrance of not being able to understand people, it's sometimes two-way. I deliberately say something which might confuse you because the emotion that I'm hiding underneath, it's very complicated. If I get into it, I might feel vulnerable. So I deliberately hide that underneath emotion.
That's interesting. For me, it really lies on my internal struggle at the time. If I feel like I'm not clear, then I become distant from anybody, because if I feel like I'm really focused on something and I don't want any distractions, because one of the hardest things for me to do in most of my life, I've been very easily distracted and very, very sloppy, where I would lose my keys and my phone and I'm just like all over the place. One of my goals became to not be sloppy anymore and to learn how to focus better. So now I take drastic steps in order to get that, because I don't want to be the sloppy person anymore. So I will brush off conversations. I will brush off anything that might distract me to where, let's say, from the goal of focusing on something that I'm trying to focus on, I will deliberately reject just because I don't want to be that sloppy person anymore.
Yeah, and also Darren said that sometimes our conversation are projection of our own internal world as well. So I told you earlier that I feel like I am being misunderstood by people because I think at that point of time, I was so confused myself what exactly I want. So if people are not able to understand me, that means some part of me was not able to understand myself. I was so confused myself that I cannot do a clear conversation, like I said earlier. Sometimes I don't want to reveal that underneath emotion, which is why people might feel that they are not able to understand me, because some part of that conversation I did not understand myself. Probably I'm just trying to avoid that confusion for myself, because if I connect on a deeper level, I will be forced to find those answers for myself. But why am I being confused? And I'm avoiding that internal conflict with myself as well when I'm rejecting that deeper level of connection.
I just got word from Eleanor. She says she got a power outage. Oh, she lost connection because there's a power outage in her neighborhood. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's.
So just a quick heads up. I do have to head out soon to work, but can I share some words of encouragement on here? And I feel like this could help for others listening in. It could kind of give them like a little encouragement to keep on pushing forward, just to keep on going.
Absolutely. Let's go.
So this is what I usually do kind of like near the end of all of my speeches, but I'm going to combine two of them just to make it shorter. So I put here, you all matter. Keep going, keep believing, keep loving with your whole heart. Whether your journey is just beginning or has been unfolding for years, you are a vital thread in this tapestry of transformation. You are not alone. You are not invisible. You are not without power. It may seem tough and roadblocks in your life are difficult, but you are stronger than you think. Let no one dim your light. And the quote that I came up with is this: we are like a flower waiting to bloom into something beautiful. When it rains, that essence of life gives us hope we will blossom at the right time.
Beautiful.
Love that, Martin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Definitely.
you. Yes. Okay, so now, we're nearing...
All right, bye everyone. I'll see you all later. I'll keep in touch with you.
Hey, Martin, before you got two more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last section I want to deal with here is, now at the end, application.
Mm-hmm.
So based on our conversation, let's say, tell us maybe one of your jobs, and then how you can apply things from this conversation or one thing from this conversation that you think you'd want to apply to your, something that you do on the daily basis?
Okay. With one of the things that I do with my job, I work with different. How would I explain this? Let me try to see this. I'm gonna look at all the notes that you wrote and try to get this going.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to remain curious when I'm out working with different sports teams on bringing acceptance to like the disability community and everything, because I know that some people may not understand autism a lot, and kind of helping them align with what I'm trying to say and to really help bring forward. And then let's see, also asking for feedback. I think after my speaking engagements, I'm going to make sure that I ask for feedback so I can figure out ways to improve and be a better version of myself than I thought I could be.
Do you have a quick example of like an application? Like, let's say in a conversation, like if somebody says this, you do this, or blah blah blah, like something simple.
If somebody tells me in a conversation that hopefully this makes sense too, because sometimes I might not make sense, but if somebody were to tell me, you're not making sense, or it's all in your head, I kind of ask them like where they come from, and I kind of go with that and tell them, I totally understand, and I know that our values, or we see our values differently, and got to remember to apply that. What's the word I'm looking for? My brain is kind of making it difficult right now. This is kind of.
I'm following you, man. I'm following you 100%.
All right. Just got to remember to be. How would I say it? My brain is like. I was getting somewhere good, and then my brain just like, no, can't do it.
Well, here's what I got. Here's what I got from what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might not understand where you're coming from. So what I got from that is, not everybody has to understand you, and you got to be okay with that. Like, and then they might not even want to understand, and that's okay too. It's fine. Like, just that you and that person are not aligned, and you're not meant to align at that moment.
Right.
So
yeah, that's where I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hey, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Definitely. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll keep in touch.
Beautiful. All right. Let's go to Meenakshi.
Hi, Martin. He's saying, I'm sort of giggling there because he's saying having a good day. In where I am at the minute, it's actually coming up on 6 o'clock at night. So it's near dinner time in my place, so I never get to say that to him, which is great. But yeah,
it's
enjoyed what he had to say there for sure.
Yeah, but beautiful. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's I used to have a group call, like just on the phone, freeconferencecall.com. Shout out to them. I used to have a call at 7 in the morning Eastern time, which didn't work out for anybody because California is like 4 a.m. and then like it's just bad. But at 11 a.m. not everybody can call in because most people got day jobs. So, but on the other hand, I'm attracting the people that are more entrepreneurial, and then like because people that work a 9 to 5 job or an 8 to 4 job, sometimes they're into this kind of stuff, but it's more likely that people like us that are more like rebels, like we don't want to like. Like we would
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so that's that, but so understanding, let's hit on that like for the last 10-15 minutes here. What is understanding somebody else, needing to understand? Is there a need to understand? Like how do you feel about understanding back and forth? And then also let's get into that point where I told Martin, what is one thing from this conversation that you might want to apply into your daily grind or your daily job or anything in your daily existence? Let's start with Darren.
Yeah, so you're asking me about my understanding of what's being said today and what I'm taking from this conversation into my daily life.
Yeah, let's go from that angle. And then also touch on the angle of like whenever you're in conversation, either with a client, with a friend, with a mentor, with a lover, like both understanding from the standpoint of this conversation, and then in your daily life with the people and then let's get into an application where you might want to utilize some of these things we spoke about.
Yeah, my understanding is definitely that I enjoy conversation. I enjoy a little bit of small talk, but I really enjoy, deeper level conversations for sure. I love opening them conversations up and getting involved in them. for no real, at times for no real reason other than just to hear other people's points of view, just to, I just love people's stories. I love hearing people's experiences. I love that. So that's sort of my understanding. One of the reasons I'm here today is for that reason, because I do enjoy that. What I would take with me today is that, what I've heard people say I've heard a few people say, reading between the lines, taking the time to actually hear what they're saying, not just to hear what they're saying, but to actually actively listen to what they're saying and what's behind the words, because that increases relationships with people. For me, relationships are very, very important. And what I'm going to do in terms of bringing it forward into my life is that, I'm going to practice that, more. I'm going to try and do that more. I'm going to practice it more. I think sometimes that life can be so fast that you don't always get the time to slow down. So for me, when I get into a really good conversation with someone on a deeper level, and it doesn't have to be, a lover or a close friend or someone like that. When I say a lover, I'm talking about my wife, because I'm a few years married, and she would be someone who would say, I'm someone who would open the conversation quite a bit. I'm open to, one of my skills, I believe, is that, maybe the harder the conversation, the more darker the conversation, I'm in there like very quickly, because it's something that I've always dealt with in that level. I think sometimes in the culture of Northern Ireland, there's an awful lot of trauma here, and when people open the door and show that slight bit of vulnerability, I want a set of ears to be listening to them. I want somebody to say that to them, and don't allow everybody trauma dump on me if you want. But I think sometimes it's easier to talk deeper to someone that you don't know than it is to someone that you do know. So when people sort of open a bit of a deeper conversation, I want to be there because I'm interested, and I look after myself very, very well as well in regards to listening to what people have to say. So small talk is the gateway to deeper conversation for me. Superficial conversation, I know when to cut off. I know when to turn around and go, this conversation's over. And I'll leave in a gentle way and go, listen, I'm going to go and speak to someone else. I'll do that, in a networking event or wherever I may be. But I think that it's, the small talk is the gateway to deeper conversation. Yeah, for sure. I think the deeper conversation is where I want to be and where I want to get to with people, If I end on this, what I will say is, when I met my wife and we found what I refer to as common ground. We had very similar outlooks, particularly around spirituality and other, events in Northern Ireland and that sort of thing. And when we got together, it was like the conversation naturally went to deeper conversation. And it went there very quickly. There was very little small talk. So I think whenever you go into a deeper conversation with someone, there's a level of trust, respect, that's sort of happening. If you're not going there with someone, that might be a guarded person, or me maybe not asking the right questions or saying the right thing. Maybe they don't want to open up, and that's okay. That's where they want to be. But yeah, conversation is just something that I really enjoy and use it very well in my coaching business and in my work. So, thank you for listening to me. I really enjoyed today, and I wish you the best of 4th of July. I think is it a bit of a celebration over there, Joe, at the minute?
Oh yeah,
it's 4th of July. So listen,
it's a huge
congratulations on.
It's a huge celebration. Yeah, it's a huge
celebration, man. So yeah, listen, and I hope you enjoy today, because you've got the rest of the day. I'm talking to you from the end of the day here.
Absolutely.
And yourself, Meenakshi, I wish you all the best as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, and I've really enjoyed hearing everything that I've heard today. So thank you all.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, let's go to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, what do you think? And what? The other thing I would like to go in a deeper with you is because you're a yoga instructor and a study of that, besides the fact of understanding, I would like to hear from you, how would you connect that to like the deepest level that you can go in a meditation, for example, so let's connect like a conversation to a meditation.
So, if I talk about understanding in the conversation, it's all about when you come from a place of non-judgment. You have to really absorb what's coming without judgment, and that's what pretty much meditation is about. Meditation, the deepest level of meditation that you can achieve is when you don't judge your thoughts. What people say meditation is about, it's about absence of thought. You clear your mind, you're not overthinking at that time, but that's pretty much not the meditation. It's just about consciously observing without judgment. So most of the meditation that you will see that we do on beginners level is all about consciousness, being conscious. Whether it's positive or negative, don't label it. The thoughts will come and it will go. So like you do Vipassana meditation, where you have to just feel the vibration, the sensation, twitching, itching, everything. You don't react or respond to it. So when we are into conversations, we are actually, like Darren said, that you are opening up for the conversation and just hearing and listening to the different point of view, and actually you need to enjoy that conversation. If I am being disinterested, if it's boring me like anything, I'll miss out on important details. I will just pick up few words, and you can do an experiment sometime. Put some cues on the screen and you just remove a couple of words from a sentence. You just pick those cues, your brain can complete those sentences. And that's what happens in a conversation. If you're not being conscious enough, if you are not present in the conversation, your brain is just going to pick up a few cues without actually listening to the full sentence, and it will make up something in your mind. And that's how you will respond to you will react to the situation rather than responding, because you did not fully understand, you were not conscious, you were not aware what exactly the person is saying. And that can actually lead to miscommunication. And this picking and choosing word is sometimes also associated with our values and our brain's biases. For example, if I talk about the world today now, it's more like monoculture. Everyone is, their Instagram feeds, their Spotify, their playlist, their Netflix is so customized as per their preferences, choices, that it's actually difficult for people to initiate a conversation unless you have anything in common in either music, literature, art, etc. You need to really understand different points of view. And if I talk about 10 to 15 years back, there was no monoculture. A lot of people were hearing or listening to the same music. Most of the people were watching the same series. So there's something that you can talk about in common. I can just randomly go to someone and ask them, hey, did you watch the last episode of Game of Thrones yesterday? They will be like, yes, absolutely, I was super excited. But if I walk up to somebody and I talk about Game of Thrones, the person might come up to me, oh, I absolutely hate it. I've never watched even a single episode. And then, I already disconnected from the person. So I have to be really open. I have to keep keep myself open to receive the different point of view. Somebody might absolutely hate something that I really love, but I have to accept that we are different.
That's incredible. Monica, do you have any words before we start wrapping up? Monica, self-love genie, still there? Oh, she left. Okay. She says she wanted to come and say 4th of July. We got Eleanor's back on. Eleanor,
Hello.
you're back. You're back to the end. You're back to the end. So here's the end. Understanding. The final is understanding. So understanding back and forth in conversation. And what Meenakshi just did was she connected the understanding in the context of conversation to the context of meditation at the deepest level, which she said it was non-judgment. And if we can obtain that level, then I think we can have like an excellent meditation or conversation. So final words on there. Thoughts? Got nothing?
No, I'm sorry. I'm still processing the
Okay, go ahead.
power outage because. But no,
So let's connect that. Let's connect that with the power outage. Let's see if we can come up with.
Sometimes
life gives us power outages.
No, exactly, and it really showed the connection to the topic today. It was an unexpected event and it come out of nowhere. So I could have been there were frustration, but what I did, I decided to meditate. I was like, no, it's time to meditate and reconnect. And as soon as I did this, like all the frustration, I could feel like leaving my body. So it's very interesting.
Beautiful. Okay, speed round. We got 2 minutes left. Speed round. 10-second answers. Based on what Meenakshi said, connect the deepest level of conversation to the deepest level of meditation. Darren.
Yeah, I think sometimes it non-judgmental is hard to achieve. However, that's a fantastic journey to go on to try and be there and get to that point. Someone who is not trained in yoga or trained in any meditation in any way, maybe have a bit of a journey to go on around that. Well, thank you for that.
Beautiful. Eleanor.
I think like what I experienced is the non-judgmental space happen when we extend the compassion to ourselves, when we are we extend the grace to ourselves as well, and when we welcome our flaws and everything in between, the darkness and everything within ourselves, so we are able to open the space to other and to welcome them as they are, not as we want them to.
Okay, Meenakshi, let's do that one more time, but in like 10 or 20 seconds.
So for me, deep level of connection or communication and deep level of meditation, there's no difference. It's actually same. If you are fully present in something, not just communication, doing anything, art, music, if you're fully present in the moment, you're actually in the deepest state of meditation. When the process, the person and the subject becomes one, that exactly is the meditation. So when the speaker, listener and the conversation is one flow state, you're actually in the deepest level of the meditation. So when you want to have the deepest level of communication, the conversation, just be fully present without judgment, just be there, and that's exactly how you meditate.
That's beautiful. I would love to have a 90-minute conversation just on that. That's a perfect topic right there. Okay, one word or one sentence to end the call, to end the Zoom. One word or one sentence that will summarize the Zoom for you.
Beautiful. Keep having conversations.
Beautiful. Eleanor.
Connected, disconnected, and reconnection. That's really.
Meenakshi.
Yeah, I would use a fancy term. I would call it cosmic synchronicity, something like that. Synchronicity. We all belong to different parts of the world, different time zone, globe, different languages, cultures, and still we are connected. We were able to drive this conversation for 90 minutes. So we actually are in sync with our thoughts, with our patterns. So yeah, I loved how it turned out to be a beautiful conversation.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna start a Facebook. I'm gonna do a little chat group for us. So if you want to share something with the other members, just post it on there. And then next week the topic is comedy. So let me know if you're available next week, and then we'll continue this conversation or have another one. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for initiating this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And having us.
Yes. Any announcements? Do you want to give the last 10 seconds for announcements, and then we'll leave. Anybody? Oh, Eleanor, you got it.
All I would like to say is that I have, with your names, I have it on the Facebook and added some of you on Facebook. Those that could get, so if you don't have to accept, but I've put it on there that I would like to connect with all of you guys.
Beautiful. Anybody else? Eleanor, you had the ebook that you wanted to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to offer. Also, I run tiny challenges as well. Tiny challenges like 5-day challenge that you can learn yoga, meditation about chakras with me. And it's one-to-one personal. It's just all pro bono. So I'll connect with you guys on Facebook, and I'll be happy to share all my resources.
Beautiful. And Eleanor?
Same for me. Really, I want to offer my ebook and a preview of my upcoming book as well. I'm going to share with you guys. And I would be happy to connect with you.
All right. See you guys next time.
See you.
Best guys, thank you.
Ni bendito hay. A veces duele tu ausencia, pero cuando tú me abrazas me llenas de tu presencia. Te hablo como un amante que a veces viene y se esconde. Te busco entre los bolsillos como el sol entre los montes. Ha sido copa y castigo, camino y tentación, pero en el fondo lo sabes, yo te quiero sin rencor. Money, bonito.